Take us through in the Hino Hub.
Watkins, Glen, New York State, race third, and as I said, Jess, and this one's going to be 14 laps, just under 40 kilometres of racing, 11 turns at this location. Fuel's not a big deal here, transiting through the lane 16 seconds, 8 seconds for tyres, about 24 in total to be able to process it. A couple of hot spots to keep an eye out, as Marcus quite appropriately described before. It turns 1, 5 and 10 are places that you need to be very careful of at this location. We've marked them for you. Turn 1, obviously, there's always congestion. The run into the bus stop and also through that sweeping left-hander, we've seen quite a few people have trouble there as well. Considerations, there will be a compulsory stop. They're racing for 75 points, same weather as always, and the predicted pit stop window between laps 3 and 9. Undulating racetrack, a beautiful racetrack. Brady Bunch on steroids on here at the moment. Drivers everywhere. 3.94 kilometres, 11 turns, rolling hills, up and down, positive and negative camber. It's got a lot of character, distinguished by those colourful fences. Opened in 1956, about a 4-hour drive from New York City. And Jonesy won there as well. He did it in 1980, which was the last time they had a Formula One Grand Prix there.
Very, very cool. Isn't it been interesting to see how the sim setups have evolved over the last couple of weeks? They are getting fancier and fancier as we roll on. Let's take a look at the truck assist starting grid. Matty, should be a little bit of a calmer start in this one, hopefully.
Just throw the mock out there, yeah. Shane van Gisbergen from Armour Oil pole position. So this was a qualifying session that was done earlier this evening. It is Van Gisbergen's third Armour Oil pole of the series. There's Chaz Mostert, the winner of our last race this evening. Andre Heimgartner and Nick Percat in the Dunlop Super Dealer car from position number 10. Scotty Pye will have Gary Jacobson alongside him. The Penrite racer of Davey Reynolds away from 13th. And Todd Hazelwood, position 14. There's Jack LeBrock, the Super Cheap Auto entry, alongside the Cool Drive entry of MACAULEY Jones. Angelo Mazura's top 10 finish in race 12 there at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And Marcus Ambrose, an extraordinary career at this circuit at Watkins Glen. 2 race wins. He also won 4 races in the Nationwide Series at the Glen and 6 podiums overall for Marcus during his time in the United States. Rick Kelly, the Castrol Mustang from 25, will have Chris Pither. Joey Logano has seen it all this evening. I don't know if he'll want to see it again. He's got Alexander Rossi alongside him. Both of those guys have also won at this circuit, and Jack Smith, who started race 12 from the front row of the grid, will start at the rear of the truck assist grid for race 13. So as Crompo said, 14 laps for this one, and Shane van Gisbergen on pole position.
So Anton described earlier today that this is the opposite to Montreal. It's much higher grip. It'll make for some interesting racing. Not a great start for Van Gisbergen. A beautiful start, though, for Anton De Pasquale, and tucking in behind him was Scott McLaughlin. A tardy start for Van Gisbergen, who's given away an enormous advantage. Trouble on the outside of 1, and I think that was Whincup that spun to the inside down there at 1 as well. So much more of an open sweeping circuit. You can see those colourful fences that I described before, and significantly higher grip levels on a racetrack where the slipstream will give you the advantage in virtual racing.
It's spectacular, isn't it? Down to the bus stop, turns 5, 6, 7 and 8. Releases them out to the carousel. Andre Heimgartner got untidy on the exit there because Shane van Gisbergen was pressuring like you would not believe. They're side by side. The Red Bull Holden sneaks past the Ned Mustang. So Van Gisbergen is on the charge to reclaim those spots that he's dropped since starting from pole position down to 6th.
So having a look down the inside there was Ambrose on Coulthard, as well as we pick up Andre Heimgartner in the Ned Racing Mustang. Actually sat it up very high on the curbing. He's in behind Van Gisbergen at the moment, who lost all that ground. So he's got a lot of work to do. Started on the pole, is now 6th. Little right-hand front lock-up for Heimgartner that just ran him a little bit high and wide on that curb. So De Pasquale has got control at the moment. Heimgartner on screen, bottom right-hand corner. You can see the delicate wheel work. This requires a very delicate touch. You cannot brutalise a virtual racing car. Scott McLaughlin second, Lee Holdsworth, a great start for Truck Assist in third, and Tickford Racing, Bryce Forward for Mobil 1, and Middies in position number 4. Then Jake Kostecki, Van Gisbergen, Heimgartner, Mostert, Pye, Jacobson. That is the 10. MACAULEY Jones for Cool Drive in the blue Commodore. He's underneath Cam Waters here as well. Macca got a 9th at Bathurst last week for Brad Jones Racing. We pick up Cam Waters and he's got the full concentration race face going at the moment.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous looking battle that's brewing here. Cam Waters will want to get ahead of it as quickly as he can. He's in position number 11. Behind him, he's got Jones. Then it's LeBrock, already a race winner in this series. So too for Fabian Coulthard. He collected a win at Bathurst, and there's Marcus Ambrose, car number 40, celebrating 40 years of Pertec here at Watkins Glen.
And a bunch of cars actually came in for their compulsory stop. We've got MACAULEY Jones, Jack LeBrock, Will Davison, Mark Winterbottom. I think Logano's come in as well, Matt. Now, some of that will be based on their crew telling them to get out of the traffic, because just as it would be in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, you do not want to be fumbled by another car around you if it's hurting your lap speed. They may also get some benefit from the undercut, depending on how they come out on a fresher tyre, but there isn't anything quite like the degree of tyre degradation on the Dunlop virtual tyre here that there was at our previous circuit in Montreal. Bottom right-hand corner of screen, car number 40, Marcus Ambrose, Pertec Racing. He sent me a video earlier in the week when he was scrambling to put this deal together with the folks from Pertec, and the chief executive, Stephen Dutton, and Marcus are very good friends. He said, what do you reckon? You've had great success. Yep, I'll rip into it. And he had to get this thing together, and he showed me what it can do, including what happens when it all goes sideways. So I've seen a couple of shunts in this thing, and they're not pretty. You need the belts on to be able to deal with it. Scott Pye's come in, and that's Mazuris also getting in a little strife here, and it already had some marks on it. So I would suggest there's a bit more to the story. So Rossi in together with Goddard, taking their compulsory stop. Meantime, our race leader continues, Anton De Pasquale.
BP Ultimate Replay will show Angelo Mazuris as Alex Rossi just ducks in on the inside there, and Jake Kostecki has made contact. So I wondered what was going on the entry to the pit lane.
And it's a trap. The drivers have talked about this in the lead up, because you've got to take speed out of the car to be able to avoid crossing the entry line into the pit lane, which means they're anywhere between 5 and 10 kilometres an hour slower. It makes you vulnerable. So if somebody's on the attack and they're not wary, then you can tag, and that's exactly what just happened.
Yeah, and a correction there. I'm pretty sure it was Zane Goddard in 34, not 344 of Kostecki, who's currently in position 6. We're watching him with Andre Heimgartner pressing for position number 7. Then it's Chaz Mostert behind them. Gary Jacobson and Cam Waters make up our top 10 as Mostert decides to take his compulsory pit stop on lap number 5.
Interesting to look at Andre, bottom right-hand corner of screen. He's actually using a sequential shifter, as he would in his Ned Racing Mustang in reality. And so some of the drivers are using a paddle shift on the back of the wheel. Others are using a full sequential shift. Love this sequence of the racetrack. We've seen some tremendous racing images over the year. This is the undulation, the up and down hill that I spoke about before. Now, there's a bit of stuff that's unfolded in this one as well, and for more on that, let's go to the bunker with Craig Baird.
Yeah, hey guys, obviously a little bit of carnage back there. Zane Goddard, car 34, will be receiving a drive-through penalty plus a hold. The reason for the extra is he also crossed the blend line coming into pit lane. Contact with car 10, Mazuris. So penalty plus 15 seconds hold.
Thanks, Beto. Appreciate the update. So that explains that pretty much as was described.
So that makes about a 31-second penalty. I think it's a 16-second transit through the pits here at Watkins Glen, and the 15-second hold, as handed down by Craig Baird, has had his hands full tonight in the bunker. So Anton De Pasquale has the race lead by 3.1 seconds over Lee Holdsworth.
This is Alex Rossi, car number 27, and Zane Goddard, car number 34 in the background. It's great to have Alex at Mount Panorama last year together with James Hinchcliffe. There is Alex, bottom right-hand corner of screen, having not so far back recently re-signing with Andretti Autosport and staying with that squadron for the IndyCar Championship of 2020. It's yet to unfold. Car number 4, Jack Smith's got some significant damage around the front of that car as well. Remember, he was an Indy 500 winner, Alex Rossi, and has vast experience and success in GP2, did quite a bit of Formula 1 testing as well. In fact, had a very successful European career before he switched to the US and jumped into IndyCar and made an immediate name for himself. We'll go to the Pertec pit reporters now. Chad Jonathan for an update.
So this is quite interesting, Neil. Obviously, he's an Andretti Autosport driver, but he's actually recruited someone from 888, to be his engineer for the night. So he's got Dane Warren, Jonathan, calling the shots for this car. And Dane is a guy who raced at the Red Bull team last year in the Supercars E-Series.
He's one of the quickest in the world in this car on the simulator. So a great guy to have behind the scenes to work out strategy for you. And he impressed very well at this racetrack last year at Watkins, Glen.
Now, for the 17, we did see Scott McLaughlin come in and make an early stop, and it's all a part of this battle with Anton De Pasquale and Shane Van Gisbergen. So these guys are pitted just on Brody Kostecki, who's engineering for the 99, who's now dropped and away. He was asking his driver to give him some shortcuts through the bus stop chicane, and this is the rejoin battle right now.
And De Pasquale's going to hold that position, so he gets out ahead of Scott McLaughlin.
Which is important. And he's got a slightly younger tyre once it comes up to temp to be able to deal with here as well, but McLaughlin's got momentum too. So this is going to be a fascinating exchange as these two come down into the bus stop break area. Holdsworth's a leader at the moment from forward. Kostecki, Waters, Davison, De Pasquale and McLaughlin next in the queue. So those guys, Anton and Scott, that are on screen, are currently 6th and 7th, and they're the first drivers that have taken their compulsory stop, Matty.
Zero in on the DeWalt entry of Scotty Pye, position number 12 for him, yet to break into the top 10. He's copped a few dramas along the way, especially out of the back of those reverse grid races. Chaz Mostert sliding in there in position number 10.
A bunch of drivers have just come into the lane. Holdsworth, Forward, Kostecki and Waters are also taking their stops, and that leaves Alex Davison leading at the moment for Local Legends. Scott Pye on screen for DeWalt, drives for Charlie Schwerkolt. Had a magnificent victory on the streets of Melbourne in supercar competition in fading light and greasy conditions several years ago. And he's finding himself at home in this new outfit. In the foreground there was Forward. Fair bit of traffic congestion here. That's Gary Jacobson, car number 35 there as well. Isn't this a magnificent racetrack? Right. Never had the pleasure of actually visiting this racetrack, but everybody that has talks up its stocks enormously. It's a fantastic place. Mostert looking racy down the inside. Didn't get the job done though, trying to put a move on Nick Percat in the Dunlop Super Dealers Brad Jones Racing entry. So the only driver yet to stop at the moment, Matty, is Alex Davison. So that makes the corrected leader, Anton De Pasquale, as we pick up Nick Percat on screen here at the moment. He's tucked in behind Bryce Forward. So at the moment, Nick showing in 7th. That'll become 6th when Alex Davison takes his stop.
Don't forget $1,000 to the overall round winner this evening. We're in round 4 here of this series, and $1,000 thanks to Armour All to the designated charity. We'll crunch some numbers for you at the end of this race as we head to the final race. Now Chaz Mostert again is going to have a look at Nick Percat, this time up and over the hill, and he will get that job done. Or can he hold on to it, Nick? He goes wide, wide, and he's still going to fight it. He's still going to argue the point, but that is an argument lost as Mostert takes it back up over the hill and gets that position. Mostert into 7th, Percat back to 8th. He's now got Kostecki, Jacobson, Pye and Heimgartner and Cam Waters all waiting to scrap with him.
It was a virtual tonne-and-a-half block that Mostert used to his advantage then to hold Nick up high and wide. And in fact, Nick just missed the apex through the bus stop there and actually lost a bit of ground. He'll be vulnerable to Kostecki here. In fact, I reckon in the background, Jake snipped him. This is a great battle, and he has. Yeah.
Terrific. Lap 9 out of 14. So Alex Davison has now entered pit lane. That'll mean that Anton De Pasquale takes over the race lead with Scott McLaughlin behind him. Out at front, it's a 1.1 second lead between first and second, and the usual suspects are climbing to the top of this leaderboard. De Pasquale, McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Holdsworth is there. But this battle around 10th position is brewing again. Cam Waters now up on the inside of Scotty Pye. So Waters into position 11. He's got Gary Jacobson ahead of him.
Bunnings Trade Power Pass. Let's have a look. We're looking at Chaz Mostert here. And Chaz makes a nice move down the inside and puts that move on Nick Percat and then holds him up nice and high. Actually runs him out of road. Probably a bit borderline, that one, but he got away with it. Bunnings Trade Power Pass. So nice job as we pick up Anton, who I think has actually opened the margin ever so slightly. It's actually officially 1.22 seconds now. And this is the kind of stuff that we've been expecting from him. Based on the pace that we've seen in Armour All Pole, it's been super impressive. Spends a fair bit of time understanding the nuances of iRacing. He used a lot to get his eye in when he first came back from Europe. He was looking forward to this track when I spoke to him a little bit earlier on today, and he said that if you can run on your own here, you'll be in pretty good shape. But if you're tucked up with somebody, it'll be quite difficult with understeer once you're within about half a second of a preceding car. This is a great battle. Jake Kostecki, Chaz Mostert. Both drivers on screen, and you can see what they're looking at the moment. So Jake's torturing him. In fact, he's looking to try and get a move going down the inside here. He's actually got a little bit of exit speed on Chaz Mostert, but it puts him on the wrong side of the road when they get down to the bus stop. And Chaz actually slides it in there and sliding it across the face of the corner as well as he makes his way into the carousel. So the fact that he's just that little bit extra loose will make it just that tiny bit slower on exit, make him just a touch vulnerable to car number 344 for NTI and Matt Stone Racing. And Matt Stone Racing, by the way, got their own competition going at the moment to try and help young drivers through, and the prize at the end of it would be a remarkable opportunity to drive one of their supercars. That's something to keep an eye out for, and well done to Matty and his crew for that initiative.
Around turn 11. So onto that front straight for another lap, lap 12 out of 14. Jake Kostecki's already been on the podium this series. He was second behind Cam Waters at race 5 at Silverstone. And of course, Chaz Mostert found his first race victory in race 12 not too long ago back in Montreal.
Now, Waters is on the charge here at the moment in the Monster Energy Mustang. So he's showing great pace. He's sitting in 10th position now, 17 seconds off the lead. We'll see what that margin looks like after another half lap or so. He's hunting down Andre Heimgartner. Fabian, he's down the shallow side of the road here, skipping across the curbs. He had to grab the brake a couple of times then to not drill the back of Garry Jacobson in car number 35. That was close.
It's been a tale of highs and lows for our top 3 in this race at the moment. So Anton De Pasquale, our race leader, he's had a 2nd and a 12th. Scott McLaughlin, currently 2nd in this race, has had a 3rd and a 25th. And this evening, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's 3rd on the road now, has had a victory and a 26th as we pick up Marcus Ambrose in position number 15.
It's a good run. There he is. And you can see the pitch and roll and yaw in that car, emulating something like the feeling that you might expect in the real supercar.
Extraordinary supercars career. 2-time Supercars champion in 2003 and 4. 2-time Barry Sheen medalist as well. 28 race wins over 147 races in his career in our championship.
And some amazing statistics in NASCAR. I mean, if ever there was an example in motorsport of having to learn to write with your other hand, that's what Marcus did. So having to jump out of road racing in supercar and then take the bold step to go initially into the NASCAR Truck Series in 2006, where he had 4 top 10s and a pole. And then he was in the 2nd tier NASCAR series permanently between 7 and 8. 5 wins, 18 top 10s, 4 poles. And then he made it into Cup and made a real name for himself. So fantastic job. And does he get down the inside? Yes, he does. That was a nice move. He put on MACAULEY Jones there and brutalised his way down the inside. And the car reflecting the colours that he had such great success with on Australian racetracks over a long period of time. So those numbers that you were rattling through before were pretty impressive. Look at this, Jack LeBrock and Alex Rossi. LeBrock disappearing out of sight. Hopefully he managed to scramble back on. He did. There's some exit space down there on that turn. And wounded front left corner on Alex Rossi's car number 27 with the Napa Auto Parts entry. Anton's got a margin. It's out to 2.8 seconds. He's done a ripper job so far, hasn't he? So he's already got a victory to his name so far this year. He did it at race 4, Silverstone, in round 2. And he's threatened to do this throughout the recent races based on that tremendous qualifying form. He's a great racer and he's a huge talent. He's got a big future, and we've seen some tremendous performances from him in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. And he's going to be one of the big names of the future. Still only a young bloke, even though it feels as though we've seen him in the game now for quite some period of time. So he has done a fantastic job tonight. He's going to grab 75 points for his trouble in that one. So nice work.
Smile on his face. So he had a rough trot in the final 2 races at Bathurst last week, where he finished way down the order. He's in a world of pain. He's bounced back with a 2nd in our first race this evening, a 12th, and now a victory. His 2nd victory of the BP Supercars All-Stars Series, leading Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen home. Don't forget, that means that our next race is a reverse grid. So the BP Ultimate results, 1, 2 and 3, De Pasquale, McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen, our championship contenders. Bryce Fullwood inside the top 5. Chaz Mostert comes off a win and puts it inside the top 10 as well. Marcus Ambrose finishes 14th after starting from position 19. Mark Winterbottom in 21. Joey Logano there in 23. And Will Davison, Zane Goddard and Jack Smith make up the rear of the grid as we check out the Koala race highlights. Shane Van Gisbergen starting on pole here. This 5.43 kilometre circuit. Absolutely spectacular. Undulating, flowing, fast, beautiful racetrack. And Shane didn't get a good start. He would have to pick his way through the field. Irregulation, first turn, Crompo. A few spins, a few offs, a few dramas. Angelo Mazouris had contact from Zane Goddard, who copped a whack from Craig Baird in Beardo's bunker. It meant that Zane had to do a drive-through penalty and also hold for 15 seconds. So that was a big whack for Zane. Chaz Mostert in the Mobil 1 Appliances, Walkinshaw Andretti United Commodore, was really aggressive in this one and found some good moves. He had a good battle with Nick Percat as well. Alex Rossi and Jack LeBrock coming together, but it was all Anton De Pasquale cruising home in this one for his 2nd victory, along with Scotty McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen, becomes a multiple winner in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series